They want to be cruel. I repeat that. And it's a horrific allegation, but I believe it. It's my opinion, but I believe it's true. They want to be horrifically cruel, according to credible press reports. And, you know, every time I think I can't be shocked anymore, somehow I'm shocked again. And that's a really high threshold that Trump and his administration have to achieve. But they've done it. According to credible press reports, they have sent some undocumented immigrants, get this, to South Sudan. Are these immigrants Sudanese? Apparently not. Are they even African? Apparently not. Apparently they are Asians and are being sent to a country that they know nothing about, have nothing to do with. Moreover, this is in direct violation of a court order. It says you can't just summarily send people to countries that aren't their countries of origin and they have no ties to. But it's much worse than that. South Sudan is not a random country. It is one of the most dangerous countries in the world, one of the least democratic, one of the ones that violates human rights most significantly. What do you think the State Department says about travel for any American to South Sudan? It's level 4, the highest level. Do not travel to South Sudan. If you're there, get out of South Sudan. That's how dangerous it is. I'm not going to read you the entire State Department report as to why no American should ever go to South Sudan and why it's so dangerous. I'll just read you a couple of excerpts. Armed conflict is ongoing throughout Sudan and includes heavy fighting between various political and security groups. The situation is violent, extremely unpredictable. Armed conflict, crime, such as kidnapping, armed robbery, home invasion, carjacking occurs. There is terrorist activity that is unpredictable. Can you imagine going to this, being forced to go to this place when you have absolutely nothing to do with it? You're going to stand out like a sore thumb because you have no ties, you have no ethnic or racial basis to be there. This is what I talked about when I thought they were considering sending undocumented immigrants to Libya. This is monstrous. It is monstrous. It is a violation of the most basic of human rights. And it's not accidental. You don't accidentally ship people off to South Sudan. That's not, a destination that you might just happen to go to by accident. You have to be very, very deliberate about sending someone to South Sudan. So this isn't accidental. Here is what I believe is going on. Same thing with sending people to that hellhole in El Salvador. They want to be cruel. I repeat that. And it's a horrific allegation, but I believe it. It's my opinion, but I believe it's true. They want to be horrifically cruel because they want to discourage any migrants from coming to the United States, and they want to encourage undocumented immigrants who are here to so-called self-deport. That is, leave the country voluntarily rather than being sent to a hellhole in El Salvador or one of the most dangerous countries in the world, least humane, least democratic countries in the world, in South Sudan. And apparently they couldn't care less what the courts have said. The judge is furious. He believes they grossly violated his order, or her order, which says you cannot just deport people to countries that are not their countries of origin, they don't have ties to, without giving them a chance to do due process. And of course, one of the few tools that the courts have, even though they are a co-equal branch of government, against executive overreach and authoritarianism, is the power of contempt. And guess what is in that so-called big, beautiful bill that's supposed to be on taxes and spending, but it's all kinds of other things on guns, on giving Trump authority to suspend tax exemptions of organizations he claims have terrorist ties. And one of the other things that's in there that has nothing to do with taxes and spending, but has everything to do with eviscerating the courts and eliminating the courts as a real check on the Trump administration, is a limitation of the ability of the federal courts to enforce their judicial orders. I'm quoting here from one of the nation's leading constitutional authorities. You know, you often hear me say I'm not a lawyer. Well, this is Erwin Chemerinsky, a law school dean.
That's not a real name.
It is a real name, and I know this guy for many, many decades.
Chemerinsky?
Chemerinsky.
Okay.
A provision in the proposed spending bill would restrict the authority of federal courts to hold government's officials in contempt when they violate court orders. Without the contempt power, judicial orders are meaningless and can be ignored.
I want to add something to the Sudan case.
Sure.
That I don't think you've talked about or anybody in the mainstream media has talked about, as for the reason why they are sending...
I did go into that when you were away.
I know, but I'm saying you didn't talk about this reason.
Okay, good.
Dinero, money. These places are willing to take these undocumented folks for, in the scheme of things, fairly cheaply. One, they're willing to take them, you know.
Right, so you don't have to spend money.
Right.
Housing them, detaining them in the U.S.,
exactly.
Which is very expensive.
Well, I think, one, a lot of countries just won't take them, right? Germany's not going to take them.
Most democratic
China's
countries won't take them. So
right.
you got to go to these horrible dictatorships.
Right, horrible dictatorships. And like I said, it's cheaper than, like you said, housing them in the U.S., giving them their due process, putting them through the legal system, taking each one of them, sending them back to their country of origin. You pay South Sudan this lump sum of money, and they'll just take them.
Same thing with El Salvador.
Same thing with El Salvador.
We don't have proof that they paid money to South Sudan because it just happened.
We do have proof about El Salvador.
I'm about to say we do have proof about the millions sent to El Salvador. Absolutely. Let's bribe the dictator. Really easy thing to do. Money talks. Nobody walks in El Salvador.